Hey guys, good morning. Dr. Tina here, level 4 physical therapist and doula, coming to share a little bit of peace with you, which is pelvic health education, advocacy, community, and empowerment. So if you're hanging around, come on and join me on this live. We're going to talk about a few things. Today, I want to get into and dive into a little bit about what pelvic health is and how I've been able to make sense of such a huge topic. So, pelvic health is one of our society's biggest taboos, best kept secrets. But why should the way our bodies function and what it is, what it does, be kept from us, right? Like that's one of the things I have a hard time dealing processing, because I find that we all have the same questions like, why does it look like that? Is this normal? Is that normal? What does this mean? Why does my period last forever? Why doesn't it come? Is sex supposed to hurt? What can I do for my back pain? What can I do during pregnancy to prepare for birth, postpartum? Why do I keep getting infections? Right? And I always say that nothing, when it comes to pelvic health, nothing is TMI. Okay. We all have the same questions. It's okay to ask the questions. Okay. I like creating a safe space for us to be able to learn, ask the questions, get the answers, really help to discover yourself, help you to improve your pelvic health, share it with others, improve your well being so that you can regain your power, speak your mind, speak up for yourself, advocate for yourself. Self advocacy is one of my top things. It's the trend throughout all the things that I do, and really being able to learn about yourself to and to build community too. All right. So today I wanted to break down how I've kind of been able to think about and conceptualize pelvic health because a lot of things go into pelvic health. Okay. Um, Everything that we do, every step that we take, every movement that we make, all comes back to a few of the key aspects and points of pelvic health, and I'm going to share that with you today. And this is what I call the P's and Q's of pelvic health, right? So you know how we got the P's and Q's of social etiquette and things like that, say please and thank you and the basic golden rules, all those things. So I've come up with some things that's in regards to pelvic health. And so I'm going to show it to you guys and we're going to talk about it. So, like I said, we're calling this I don't know if you guys see that, the P's and Q's of pelvic health. And so there are 9 essential aspects that we're going to talk about just briefly today. You're not in school. All right. It's Friday. We're going to have a good time today. So the first one is what we're going to call, or what is called, perineums. And I definitely botched that spelling. Don't mind my spelling, you guys. We live, right? Perenniums. I know it's backwards for you guys, but work with me here. So perenniums, that is basically anatomy. Okay. So not only perenniums, but also just like the pelvic anatomy. So your the bones, how the bones are structured, how the bones move. So here's my little pelvis. Okay. And then also the actual perineum. So our vulva, vaginal health, penile health for our men out there, and just that whole area. Okay, the area that we don't talk about. Okay, so that is the first one, your anatomy. The next one, key aspect of pelvic health is related to pressure, right? So pressure. This is really talking about breath. Okay. I have said it once before and I'll say it each and every time. One of the first things that I work with clients in the clinic with pelvic health is breathing. Sounds crazy that we don't breathe right, but we don't breathe right. We're stressed. We are a lot of us are shallow breathers. We're not taking nice deep breaths. So breathing is really an essential part of pelvic health. And I'm gonna just go backtrack just a little bit. I said I wasn't going to do too much, but I can't help myself. So when we talk about pelvic health and perineums, the reason why breathing is so essential is because pelvic health is not just the vulva and all that fun stuff down there. It also includes our core muscles, our back muscles, and our diaphragm. And the diaphragm is that muscle that's between your ribs and your abdomen. that moves up and down to help us breathe. Okay. And so it creates this pressure system in our belly areas. And that is why, and it works together with our pelvic floor. So that's why pressure and breathing is so important because managing the pressure can greatly impact things like diastasis recti, can impact things like prolapse. It's functioning in like constipation and all kinds of different things. Body mechanics, making sure that you're lifting properly, all kinds of things. All right, so that's pressure. The next one is pH, right? So pH is basically the environment that our pelvic floor is hosting. If it's a great host for infections, bacteria, viruses, fungal infections, um, those kinds of things. So we want to make sure that we are having and promoting an environment that is healthy with lots of good bacteria, lots of healthy things to make sure that we're not in a state where we're encouraging bacterial or infections. All right. The next three, I'm just going to put all the next three all at one time. These are the most common ones and probably the things that you think of right away when you think of pelvic health. And these are my favorite to talk about. One of my favorite. It's all my favorite. Okay. Let me get that out there. Pee, poop, and penetration. Okay. So they're kind of self-explanatory. Pee is your bladder health. Okay. Whether you're leaking on yourself, if you're able to hold your urine, if you're able to empty your bladder, those kinds of things. Poop, we're talking about if you're having the proper um, bowel movements, what they're looking like, what they're feeling like, if you're constipated, diarrhea. That also goes back again to pressure. You're holding your breath, which let's not do that. When you're having bowel movements, all that great stuff. And penetration is, you may have guessed it, maybe like sexual intimacy and intercourse, if that's painful or not, which it shouldn't be. And yeah, all the things regarding arousal and orgasm and um, penetration and sex, sexual intimacy, all those things. All right. And I left the middle here blank just because I feel like these things encompass all the other things as well. Okay. So the next one we're going to talk about is position. So position is like our alignment. Okay. Is anything out of alignment in the hip, in the spine, even all the way down the chain to the knees, the ankles, all of that. Okay. And a lot of times when things are out of alignment, that's when we experience pain. So this box is kind of like position and pain. And you may have guessed that you can experience pain in any of the other aspects of pelvic health as well. Right. Next one is power. So power. Power is going to refer to like our muscle strength. Okay. A lot of times people think about pelvic health, we're thinking Kegels, right? Kegels is what I got to do to get my pelvis right. Maybe, maybe not. Some people shouldn't be doing Kegels at the moment. Maybe it's something that they can include later on down the line, but it's not a blanket statement or a blanket treatment for every and anybody that is experiencing pelvic floor dysfunction or for pelvic health. So power is again muscle strength, coordination, endurance from the pelvic floor, and also not only just like your physical muscular strength, but also like your power in and of yourself as a being, as a powerful being. Being able to accomplish the things that you want to do. In this area is our sacral chakra. We have a lot of power and and self and creativity in this area. So power is all up and through pelvic health. And then the last one is pleasure, right? So pleasure. And again, I know these are backwards for you guys, but just so you can get a visual of what I'm talking about with the P's and Q's of pelvic health, pleasure. Okay. And so some people will be like, well, doesn't that go with, penetration, arousal, and orgasm? And yes, it could, but also just pleasure in the things that you on a daily basis, right? The things in life that bring you pleasure and you're able to manage all of these other things with the P's and Q's, life can be that much more pleasurable. Okay. So those are all of our P's. All right. Those are all of our P's for pelvic health. So you may be wondering, so, all right, sis, what's the Q? All right. The Q is everything. Okay. Everything is the Q. The Q is quality of life. All right. If you have issues in any one of these P's, then you can imagine that your Q, your quality of life, would be impacted as well, right? And if all those P's are, in tip-top shape, then your quality of life will be in tip-top shape. You'll be able to live your best life, in regards to pelvic health. We are multifaceted people and beings, and lots of other things can be going on in our lives as well. But we're talking about pelvic health right here, right now. All right, so that's the P's and Q's of pelvic health. But there's also a little bit more. All right, so there are about 4 seasons that most, if not everyone, goes through at least one or more of these seasons and additional aspects of pelvic health of our P's and Q's. And so the first one is going to be puberty. All right. Most of us go through puberty. It looks different for most of us, but puberty is talking about, starting your menstrual cycle. Puberty is, you know, growing facial hair, your voice changing. It is, can be regarding fertility, and it also is regarding, menopause as well as into postmenopause. Okay, so that is puberty. The next one that, and the next three really, that I really love talking about, these life phases, is, you would guess it, pregnancy. All right. Lots of things happen in the pelvic region and regarding pelvic health during pregnancy. There's lots of changes going on. People experience a lot of positional changes and pain. Um, Power is impacted, like everything. Everything happens during pregnancy. And then if you're pregnant, then the most, um, the next stage of life would be what I call partum, okay, or birth. All right, I had to stick with the P, so we went with partum. Okay, partum is the act of giving birth, and this is whether you're birthing vaginally or you're having a belly or cesarean birth. All right, again, lots of things need to happen to prepare for birth to occur vaginally, and even especially immediately after birth for vaginal and belly birth as well. And yes, if you're having a belly birth, pelvic health is important for you as well. And things are changing and need to be taken into consideration for that too. And then after birth, you are then considered, after partum, you are then considered postpartum. Okay, so that's where I got the partum from. So postpartum, after birth, right? So postpartum, once you've had a baby, I consider you to always be postpartum, whether you are days, weeks, months, years, decades, half a century, centuries post giving birth. Okay. So, especially if things were never addressed that happened during birth or during pregnancy or even during puberty or just life in general, things can still show up years down the line that are birth related. And so, postpartum, again, the body is changing, pelvic health is changing, lots of things are going on. And so, being aware of that and addressing your pelvic health, your P's and Q's of pelvic health, in that season and stage of life as well is paramount. All right. So that is the P's and Q's of pelvic health, guys. I really wanted to share this with you. There's a lot that goes into each of these sections, and there are a lot of other things that I could and want to say. I love talking about this and can talk about it all day long for hours on end, just about different aspects. And really, this is just the start. Okay, so if you know your P's and Q's, if you know where you stand in each of these aspects, in each of these categories of pelvic health, then that can start to bring your awareness so you can start taking aligned action, asking the right questions, getting to know yourself, and being able to bring about pleasure, bring about improved quality of life for yourself, and really take charge of your pelvic health. And so I wanted to share that with you guys. Um, when I go out there into the community and I'm doing events, I'm typically touching on one of these aspects of pelvic health, one of these P's of pelvic health. So catch me at an event out here, either in person in Atlanta or do virtually through a webinar or coming on here live. I'll be sharing more about what each one of these things are because if you notice, I've had some posts in the past giving you some hints about what pelvic health is. If I didn't really go fully in depth, these are the things that I'm talking about. Alrighty. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can also book a consultation with me. We can talk about your P's and Q's of pelvic health as well and get you onto the road of really knowing yourself and recovery if needed. You don't have to have any symptoms. Nothing has to be falling out. Nothing has to be super painful and debilitating or, wreaking havoc on your life to start taking charge of your health and looking into your P's and Q's. Go ahead and get ahead of it. Be preventative, maintain where you're at, or even improve it just a little bit, and be out here living your best life. Okay? So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to continue to share with you. And we'll be seeing each other in these streets. All right. You guys have a great day. Bye.